welcome back to another episode of Cup of Joe, your advice giver. And this is my Uncle Anthony, and I'm going to be interviewing him today. So, let's get right to it. So, Uncle Anthony.
Yes.
Well, we already know your name.
That's true.
Where do you work?
I work in a state prison, about half an hour from where we are right now. It is an adult prison, so there are male inmates that are there, and I currently work in the kitchen part of the prison, 5 days a week.
Okay. Are you married?
I am married. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Evie. She's your aunt, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a nurse. Maybe someday you can interview her too.
Yeah. Do you have any fears?
Do I have any fears? That's a really good question. You know what? I don't think that I necessarily have fears for myself. If I had to say a fear, it would probably be for the safety, maybe of people that I care about. And maybe it's not fear as much as it is just caution and concern. I don't know that I have a real deep fear. I think everybody has fears from time to time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have anything that really grabs me and makes me so that I'm, really, really afraid of something.
Okay. So, do you like any sports?
I do. I really like sports. I like baseball's my favorite sport. I enjoy college football. I enjoy the NFL, sometimes a little bit of basketball, and even sometimes hockey too.
Do you have any favorite teams?
Yes. And I've not really considered who my favorite football team now is, because it was the Oakland Raiders. Now they're in Las Vegas. I don't know if I'll continue to follow them or if I will just be a football fan in general and enjoy the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I am in college. I follow the LSU Tigers.
Sorry to hear about your quarterback, though.
What happened to him?
He went to the Bengals.
Oh, yes. That. From one Tiger to another. Yeah. He did go to the Bengals, but we'll see. He's a really, really good athlete, so maybe he can turn them around.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, I'm a Giants fan. I know that you are not. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Who do you like?
I like the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, well, interview over. I think that's all the sports team. Basketball, no real favorite team. I'll watch it from time to time. That's pretty much it for sports.
Okay, let's get into more details about where you work.
Okay, let's.
So, are you like the captain of your people?
I'm not the captain of my people, not yet. Maybe someday. I have a lot of steps still that I need to go through to become a captain. So I'm an officer, which is pretty much the little guy, the guy that does most of the work.
Okay.
There's a lot of officers, and officers are the guys that really get their hands dirty and really they have the most contact with the inmates, a lot of supervision with the inmates. After that is sergeants. They're the guys right above the officers, and they give officers our instructions and give us our orders. And then after that we have lieutenants, and then above the lieutenant is the captain.
Have you met the sheriff?
Have I met the sheriff? I don't think so. I may have met the sheriff at some point. I can't remember. I think one time a few years ago he came here on a Sunday for Freedom Fest. I may have met him that day. But the sheriff doesn't usually come to the prison. They're two separate agencies, so we don't have too much contact with the sheriff.
Do you like this job?
I do. That's a good question too. It has its good days and its bad days. Sometimes I really, really, really enjoy what I do. when it's exciting and I find something interesting that maybe someone's not supposed to have and I find it, or it's just been a good day, things run smooth. There's other days when things don't run smooth, and I think to myself, oof, man, maybe I'd rather work at Baskin Robbins and I can just sit and eat ice cream and take money and relax. But no, it's a very good job, and it helps provide for my family. And I know that God has put me in the place that I'm in. And for that, I'm extremely grateful and very content and happy.
Do you have any friends at your work?
I do have friends. The guys that I work with, from day to day, there are usually 4 of us that work in the kitchen every day, and they're really good guys. Sometimes we don't always agree on everything. We have really interesting discussions sometimes about all sorts of topics about God and Christianity and our beliefs and all those kinds of things, and we feel very differently sometimes, but we all respect each other's beliefs and want each other to be safe. And I know that if necessary, that they would do whatever they needed to do to make sure that I was safe, and I would do the same thing for those guys also.
What does working in the kitchen mean?
So every morning at about 6 o'clock, in the kitchen where I work, so inmates make the food. The guys that live there, they make most of the food. And myself and my partners, we supervise the inmates as they make the trays. So the food will come into the dining hall, and the inmates that I supervise will get plastic food trays, and they'll put food on the trays, and then those trays get pushed out, and they go to all the different housing units throughout the prison.
Are they allowed to have forks or knives?
That's another good question. They do not have forks or knives. They have it's kind of like it's a spork. It's a spoon, a plastic spoon, with little prongs on the end, kind of like a fork, but not nearly as sharp or not nearly as long. Just long enough to scoop something up. They're plastic and they're not sharp.
Okay. Do you get sweaty and hot with all your gear that you wear?
I do, especially in the summertime. Right now it's very hot. The prison that I work in does not have air conditioning. So yes, it gets very hot. I wear a regular t-shirt, and then on top of that I wear a stab-proof vest. So it's not ballistic, which means it's not bulletproof. But if someone were to try to poke you with something sharp, it would stop it. And then on top of that, I wear my uniform shirt, and then all of my gear on my belt. So yeah, it gets really hot, and the kitchen is hotter than all the other places in the prison just because of all the stoves and all the steam while the guys are cooking. So yes, it's very hot.
What do you mean about the guys cooking? Like the bad guys cook, or
the inmate? Yes, the inmates that are in the prison, they're the ones that make the food.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So do you have to watch them unless like they make the food poison or something?
You know what? That's also a really good question. Yes, we do watch them to make sure that they do it right. Sometimes, it's a prison, so there's people there that might not want to do the right thing all the time. So yes, do have to watch them and make sure that they're following instructions as far as how to make the food. Or sometimes if a guy is making all the ingredients for breakfast burritos, and he really likes bacon, so maybe instead of making all the bacon and setting it aside to be served to everybody else, maybe he'll take a bunch of the bacon and stuff it in his pockets so that he can eat it later. So we have to make sure he doesn't do that.
Do you have any advice to give anybody? My viewers?
That's a big one. Advice for your viewers. Well, I have to say, I love your show. I've watched both of your episodes, and your episode on getting along with siblings, on anger, really good, very important. When I was younger, I had the same issues and the same struggles. I think my advice would be, I've been thinking a lot lately about showing others that you care. It's easy to get involved in our lives, right? We wake up, we have breakfast, we hopefully read our Bibles, and we do all these things that are really important, right? And especially as we become adults and we have jobs and you're going to school and all the different things that we do, it's easy to fall into a pattern and get into habits of just kind of cruising through the day and getting to the end of it and another day down. But along the way, there's people that we come in contact with that we don't realize that maybe they're struggling, maybe they aren't, their days not going as smoothly as ours might be. So taking time to even just greet them by name. If you see someone that you know who they are, take the time to stop and greet them by name and really show them that you want to hear about their day, not just how are you and then keep walking, but how are you and then stop and let them tell you how they actually are.
Well, there you have it for the interview. Thanks for watching Cup of Joe, and remember, I'm your advice giver. See you later.
Bye.